everyone. It is Thursday night, February 16th. Happy 216 Day for all of my Cleveland fans out there, and welcome to the Sports Note. Tonight marks the final night of games before we head into the NBA All-Star break in Utah. We're going to actually see a couple of the Jazz there. We're going to see Donovan Mitchell in Cleveland essentially kind of go back to where he played the first several years of his career. We're going to see Team LeBron versus Team Giannis. We're going to see the celebrity game tomorrow. We'll see the draft tomorrow. We'll see the slam dunk, three-point skills competitions. All of that will be saved for All-Star Saturday night, which quite honestly is the highlight of the entire weekend. And then naturally the game on Sunday. And then the teams will be back at it towards the middle of next week. Some games starting possibly on Tuesday. So a lot of teams will be back up on Wednesday. And one of the prime stars that's going to be on display naturally should be one of the top three picks completely off the board. Is the two-time defending league MVP Nikola Jokic for the Denver Nuggets. Jokic, first Serbian-born player to win the MVP, and again, he's done it twice in a row. Something that a lot of players prior to him, Michael's done it twice, Magic did it twice, Bird did it twice, Russell did it twice, Chamberlain did it twice, Giannis himself has done it twice. And more on a couple of those guys here in a few moments. And right now, the Nuggets are sitting atop the Western Conference. They're also clearing themselves of Memphis by a little bit. The Nuggets are 41-18 right now going into their All-Star break, and they are 4 games clear of Memphis. And Denver's mark is only 1 game behind Boston for the best record in the entire NBA, also because they are just mere percentage points behind Milwaukee for second overall. Again, 4 games clear of Ja Morant and the Memphis Grizzlies. They are 7-3 in their last 10, whereas Memphis has slid a little bit. They are 4-6 in their last 10. But for all the talk that everyone's saying about Joel Embiid in Philadelphia having a monster year and deserves MVP consideration, yes, he does. The problem is it should only be consideration. Giannis is having a great year. Yes, if you can make an argument if Milwaukee can get past Boston once the second half starts and kind of down the stretch. But let's also see what happens with the Nuggets. Do they actually put more distance between them? Because they're already 9 games up on Minnesota for the top spot in the Northwest Division. Right now, the idea of Jokic winning 3 in a row would seem preposterous with some of the other guys out there. But if you look at it, it would be one of the most historic things we've ever seen. Bill Russell, Wilt Chamberlain, Larry Bird, 3 of the top 10 greatest players in the history of the sport. And Nikola Jokic could actually end up joining them all by the age of 27. He's 26 now. Because if he wins the MVP this year, he'd be only the 4th player in league history to win 3 consecutive MVPs. Now, here's the caveat, though, is each one of those has a championship under their belt, with the exception of Jokic. Bill Russell won 3 straight in the mid-'60s. Celtics won won championships all 3 years. Chamberlain won 2 titles during his stretch shortly after Russell, and Wilt won 1 in his stretch. I believe it was 1968, and then Bird won from 84 through 86, and I remember that one off the top of my head because I was a diehard Celtics fan growing up. That was my dad's team. I still think that 1986 Celtics team might have been the greatest team ever assembled. But the Celtics won in 84 and 86, and the only reason they didn't win in 85 is because that was also the uprising of the Showtime Lakers. But again, Bird had 2 in that stretch. Nikola Jokic has not been to the conference finals since, and actually he hasn't been out of the second round. Not in his career, though, since he's actually got those 2 straight MVP awards, because the Nuggets went out in the first round one of those years and went to the second round in the next one. Jokic right now is the best player in the Western Conference, and that's including Kyrie, who's now in Dallas. That's including Luka Doncic. That's including Steph. That's including LeBron. Certainly Anthony Davis, and the balance of power is shifting right now. We saw the teardown of the Brooklyn Nets in the last week with Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving both going to the West. Kevin Durant at 35 years old, coming off an injury to his knee, is not going to be the thing that propels Phoenix back to the finals like they were a couple of years ago. Could Kyrie Irving be the one to maybe kind of get the Mavericks to the finals this year? They got a little bit of work to do because right now Dallas is sitting in sixth in the West. Sacramento continues to still surprise everybody and their mother, sitting third in the West, but they're still quite a ways back of really catching anyone. They're kind of in limbo right now. They're sitting 8 games back of the Nuggets, but they're 3 games behind Memphis for catching second. They would still have home field advantage in the first round, but there's only 2.5 games that separates them at 3 and Minnesota and Dallas in a mathematical tie right now for 6th and 7th for Sacramento to fall back into the play-in tournament. Dallas has lost 3 in a row, and there's no consistency in the West right now unless you're counting the San Antonio Spurs, who have lost 14 straight. The longest winning streak in the Western Conference right now is 3. And guess who's got it? Yep, you're right. Nikola Jokic and the Denver Nuggets. Whereas if you look in the Eastern Conference, Philadelphia's won 4 in a row off of their win over Cleveland last night. However, let's kind of put that in perspective. Philadelphia playing very well. The Cavs had won 7 in a row, but the Cavs had played 7 games in 11 calendar days. The NBA screwed the Cavs going into the All-Star break, so they need this just for rest. And you're going to see me live on YouTube here in probably within the next half hour, 40 minutes after this goes live, with a big move that affected Cleveland and also could end up causing a little bit of a shift in the Eastern Conference as things start to get going. Boston won after losing to Milwaukee the other night, as Boston was red hot. Milwaukee's won 11 in a row to climb themselves back into contention for that top overall record. Right now, Jokic is in the top 20 in all three major statistical categories. He's averaging a triple-double as it stands right now. We haven't seen that since Russell Westbrook did it a few years ago. The idea that Jokic 24.8 points, 10.1 assists, and 11.3 rebounds per game. He's shooting 63.2% from the floor. He's 39% from beyond the arc, and he's also an 89% foul shooter. You don't see these numbers out of a 6'11 center. And we're not talking like he's only taking, a 3 every, 5 or 6 games, like big men of the past did. We're in a game right now where anyone on the floor should be able to shoot from outside the arc at any time, anywhere. We're seeing big men shoot threes at record numbers, and we're seeing a lot of them convert with pretty decent numbers. The fact that Jokic can play the outside, can also bang on the inside with those assists, but also is with those 10 assists per game, he's 4th in the league in assists. He's fourth. He's 4th in rebounding, 3rd in assists, 18th in scoring, and he's playing 33 minutes a night. Again, no other player is in the top 3, although Luka Doncic is really close. He's at 8.8 rebounds per game, and that's a 1/10 of a rebound from getting into the top 20 there. So, again, this is going to be something where we're going to have a 4-person race for MVP. It's going to be Jokic, it's going to be Embiid, it's going to be Giannis, it's going to be Luka, and let's actually see how they do over the final 25 games after the break here. But Jokic right now, with the fact of now the balance of power shifting in the West, whereas in the East, yeah, you got Jimmy Butler in Miami. You've got Tatum in Boston. You got Giannis in Milwaukee. You got Donovan Mitchell playing at MVP caliber numbers in Cleveland, and I'm not saying that just out of bias. you still got James Harden paired up with Embiid. You've got Drew Holiday matched up with Giannis. Um, where's the big gun or the big tag team partner for Jokic? He's got some really good players around him, but he doesn't have that stud that really anybody, I mean, in their win over the Mavericks the other night, or last night, Jeff Green had to come off the bench for 24 points, and Jokic, with his 21st triple double of the year, again, and I understand it's always going to be next man up. But he doesn't have that stud. Aaron Gordon isn't the player in Denver that he was in Orlando. Reggie Jackson isn't the player that he used to be. DeAndre Jordan is certainly not anything that he was. Jamal Murray's good. Michael Porter Jr. In that equation. Kentavious Caldwell Pope, but again, none of those guys really jump off the page the way like Kyrie Irving now does for Luka, the way that James Harden, a former All Star, does paired up with Embiid. The fact that Mitchell is going back to Utah for the All Star game, and the Cavs had three All Stars last year between Evan Mobley, Jared Allen, and Darius Garland. Boston's littered with All Stars. You've got Butler and potentially Hero and Bam Adebayo in Miami. You've got a lot of studs in the Eastern Conference. Out west, there's some really good players, but there's not that Batman and Robin dynamic, and that's part of why Memphis and Denver are far and away ahead of the pack right now, because Ja Morant has Steven Adams to bang on the inside and set him up and facilitate things. It doesn't have to be all on Ja. It's something where you can run the offense through Jokic. You're not going to have him run the floor like some of the other talent can, but you can have him play outside. You don't have to have him set high pick and rolls. You don't have to have him coming off of screens, because that's not what he's paid to do. It's something where he can go inside, he can rebound, he can dish, he gets his teammates involved. And that's why, as great as a guy like Luka Doncic is, as great as Donovan Mitchell has been playing this year with the Cavs, as great as Embiid is, and as great as Giannis is, I still think right now it is Nikola Jokic's award to lose. And I would love to see a third in a row to be able to put him in that perspective. I would just like to see Memphis make that next push, maybe get to the finals, because the franchise on the whole has never made the NBA finals since they've joined the league. They actually had a conference championship when they were in the ABA, but nothing since they've gone to the NBA, considering all those great players that they've had before them, the Dikembe Mutombo teams, the Alex English teams back in the 80s. It's definitely something that, first of all, it would also be really nice to get some new blood in there, so we'd stop seeing, your Lakers and your Golden States in there, because quite honestly, both of those teams might be struggling just to get to the play-in tournament at this point. The Lakers got a lot of work to do themselves. I don't think that Phoenix is going to have that level of resurgence after acquiring Kevin Durant's services. Dallas was in the West Finals last year and then just ran up against Golden State. But Golden State right now is very, very close to falling out of that play-in tournament. Minnesota coming on well. The Clippers always seem to be consistent. Let's see what happens with Sacramento. But for my money, with the way that he's playing, barring an injury, I don't see how Denver doesn't keep that top spot in the West. And if they do, I think it's Jokic's award. I can't really make an argument for anybody else. So let me know what you guys think down in the comment box below. I will be back with you here probably sometime this weekend. I'm sorry for the delay. As you can see, maybe some of the logos, changed up a little bit. That was my little project over the weekend. Hope everyone enjoyed the Super Bowl. I did. What was your favorite commercial? What are you looking forward to this weekend at the All-Star game? Do you even pay attention to the game at all? Do you watch any of the festivities? Not that we really care who the participants are in the skills competitions on All Star Saturday night, but are you looking for a good show? Are you looking to be entertained? Are you basically just are you DVRing it? Do you even care at this point? Do you actually kind of move on now that pitchers and catchers have reported in baseball? So again, let me know what you guys think, and I will see you guys here very, very shortly. We should have an update, hopefully here sometime within the next 10 days about the next episode of the Wise Guys Sports Show. I will be talking with Mike after his move sometime this weekend. So take care, everyone, and I will see you very soon.